I only said I wanted that because I felt like I had to have that. Last year I was very checked out of our relationship.
I've been treated terribly, and I learned that I enabled it.
Welcome, guys, to Grounded and Growing. Today's gonna be a good episode. I'm excited for this one. But yeah, we're the show where you stay grounded and we keep growing. So there will be lots of personal growth. Today's relationships, anything that helps you to stay grounded and keep growing. So yeah, welcome to the show, guys.
Welcome to the show. We're going to talk about relationships.
I'm
going to
so
get
excited.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, so what we're going to talk about is relationships, compatibility, love languages, lessons we've learned, and we're going to ask each other some questions.
Yeah.
And it's going to be educational, I think.
Yeah, because you're getting two very different perspectives.
Yeah.
You have someone who's gone through a marriage, a divorce, and someone who just graduated high school 2 years ago. So yeah, two very different perspectives. But again, that's why we love the show, because you get perspectives from two very different people.
Yeah. And the things I've learned too, I hope to share so other people don't make the same mistakes or so they see the bright side in certain situations like I did.
I love that.
So we're going to do a quick round of like warm up rapid fire questions for each other. Delaney came prepared. So she's going to ask me some questions first. Yeah. And we're going to just dive into it. And then after that, we'll go into more compatibility and the nitty gritty of what works in relationships and what really doesn't.
Yeah. So obviously both of us are in current relationships, long-term relationships. So I think that's key to know here. But yeah, going with that, what are some like key foundational things of your current relationship that you do to keep it healthy and growing?
I was not prepared for this.
That's why we love it here.
Well, we've been dating almost eight months, I think, 7 or 8 months. And we were both extremely picky. So, I mean, some people would say, oh, you guys move fast, but we're also full grown. I have a child, and I waited to introduce him. So we'll talk about that later, too, and how kids play a role in dating and relationships, too. That's a good thing. But so we've been together a bit, and pretty much dove right in like, okay, this is what we're doing. And we were pretty upfront, like, if you're dating me, you're dating only me. So we can talk about exclusivity and how people don't necessarily take it seriously anymore. And he did, and I did. So thank God. But what was the question? I already forgot.
It's okay. Just what are some like key foundational things that like non-negotiables of your guys' relationship to keep it healthy and growing?
Yeah, so non-negotiables is we are committed. We are not talking to other people. We are not entertaining other people. So we're very old school in our values. So that was the first and foremost thing that we both asked each other. I mean, I think he even asked me that, and that's usually what I ask in the first date.
Oh, like, that's cute.
Is this you too? Because I don't want to waste time. I don't want to waste your time. I'm not going to like it if you're not aligned with that. So yeah, we have the same like old school mentality of we're dating each other, we're talking to each other. Yes, we still have friends, but there is no other romantic anything going on. So very loyal. So that was the most important thing to me, because I have had partners be unloyal in the past. And I don't think he has, but he's just very old school in that way. So having the same like grounds for loyalty and how we're going to go about treating each other with respect and just morals in general is like the core of our relationship. And so that was huge. How else do we keep things going well? We have a lot of date nights. I made that very clear up front too. I'm like, I want to go out. I want to have, and not necessarily spend money, but like, let's go get Jimmy John's. Let's go get pizza. Let's go grab a beer, grab a drink, whatever. So we go out and like do public things together all the time. And I love that too, because I didn't have that in the past either. So there's certain things that I'm like, okay, well, these are the things I didn't have that I wanted the whole time. So loyalty and going out and spending time out in public with others, it actually brings out a different side of your partner too. So you get to see how they act around civilization.
Oh, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you bring, like, if you just start dating someone and you bring them around your friends, or you go out to, like, downtown at night, like night train, and you go out amongst all these other people who are maybe drunk and loud, and you see how they behave. It's also like a
Yes.
test. And you can see their true colors come out too. Like, it's just, oh gosh, there's so much on that I could go on. But
Well, it's like just like at a restaurant. Like, how do they treat the server? Like that
I
right
was
there
gonna
says
say
a
that.
lot. That right there says a lot.
'cause I used to be a server, yeah.
Yeah.
How do you tip the server?
Do you tip? How are you speaking to them? Yeah.
Do you ignore them? Do you, like, make eye contact with them and realize that they're a human?
Yeah.
Because that right there shows, like, how much compassion that person has, how much they think of other people.
Yep.
Their manners. Oh my gosh. All of that.
Oh, manners, bro.
Okay, we'll stay on topic. So the question, so how do we stay together? Basically, we have the same foundational things that we believe in. We do things together in public often. We still do stuff with our friends. We do double dates. And then obviously my son, Theo, comes and does all kinds of fun stuff with us.
Yeah.
So I guess to answer your question, doing the things that I always wanted to do, being the couple that I always wanted to be, is awesome. But as far as, like, staying together, we also communicate and talk about everything all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So we were just talking about this. He's not a very, like, he's a very chill dude. So I can be very passionate and, like, I can get very excited about things. And when we argue, it's not like that. It's just like, okay, this really made me mad that you did. Or I should have turned that off.
It's okay.
It's like, okay, so, like, this made me upset, and this is why, and this is blah, 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 blah. So, like, we actually sit down and talk. And, I mean, I don't know about you, but I didn't have that before either. So having those, like, communication times, and we'll check in with each other. I'll usually initiate it. I'll be like, hey, are you still cool with how we're doing things? Like, I don't think people think to do that.
Yeah.
Like, hey, are you still happy?
Yeah.
Are we still going the direction you want this to go? So
that's a good check-in.
yeah.
I might take that advice myself.
Yeah.
That's good.
And I'll be like, hey, it's been 6 months. Like, how are you feeling about stuff? Like, what are you thinking timeline-wise? Because I'm old. Like, are we still on track to eventually get married? Like, let's talk about that. And we talked about it, like, right away.
Yeah.
Like, if we're together, that's the goal. So,
yeah.
And some people are like, oh, so fast. I'm like, no, so very serious. Like, I know exactly what I want.
And I think it's different when, like, you are a bit older because you've gone through already a whole marriage and, again, have a child. Like, you've learned your lessons, and it's like, dude, no. Like, from an outside perspective, who cares? Like, there's people my age, you're moving too fast, but it's like, bro, no. Like, I've already learned the lessons, and I know what I want, and it doesn't matter. Like, yeah, so I think that has a lot to do with it, is the maturity.
Did I answer kind of what you were asking?
Oh,
Okay.
for sure.
I feel like I went on a tangent.
No, it's good. It's good.
Okay, good.
Okay, there's so many I want to go. What is the biggest lesson you learned from your divorce?
Oh my gosh. There were so many. Biggest lesson?
Yeah.
Know what you're worth. Hands down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you don't, know what's normal. Know what's acceptable.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I don't want to go into too much detail.
No, yeah, that's good.
But knowing that this isn't okay, and addressing it early on, and you could maybe fix it. Maybe, like, I guess that ties in with communication. So being more open and honest with yourself and your partner. And when you're young and you get married in your 20s, I mean, there's a lot of things you don't know about yourself yet. Some of us, some do, but there's a lot of things that you're like, oh crap, maybe we should have talked about that. Well, we didn't, so I guess it's never going to happen. No, you can, like, pause and talk about things and go to therapy and have those meetings and have those discussions. And there are times I have friends who are married and who fixed their marriages when they didn't think they could. So I have a success story when two partners were both having issues and turned to others instead of each other, and they realized it and they saved it. It took them like a year, but they saved it, and it's amazing. Oh my gosh, they're awesome. They have a kid now and they're the cutest. But yeah, so being upfront and honest like they were right away, and they realized those things and they talked about those things, they worked on those things and they changed those things.
Yeah.
Like you have to actually change things that might feel weird or be hard to change about yourself or what you're doing. And yeah, so the biggest lesson was communication and knowing what you're worth.
So
Two,
how important do you think it is to have a relationship with yourself then?
more important than anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you don't have a good relationship with yourself, say you're dealing with depression or you're down on yourself a lot, hate your job, hate your life, everything sucks, blah, 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 that reflects on your relationship times a million.
Mm-hmm.
And it affects that person then too. And if they're not strong enough to help bring you out of that, I mean, you still have to bring yourself out of it. They can't do it all for you. But if they're not strong enough to help you get to that point and realize that, then it'll crumble. I mean, I've seen it happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's your teammate.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You should build each other up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is kind of just a fun one.
Oh, gosh.
I want to know if you believe in soulmates.
Oh, that's a hard question. I believe in soulmates in a way that I don't think other people think of it as the same thing. I think I think of it differently. I believe that there are so many people that we cross paths with, partners, friends, coworkers, that have such an important task to do in our lives, or like there's a reason. There's a reason. There's a reason I was in that marriage. My son, amazing. That's the reason. Like he came from that and he is amazing. And I learned all the lessons. There were fun times too. And all of those things combined created me now. So had that not happened how it did, who knows where I would be. I think about that often too. I'm like, I almost moved to California.
Wow.
Did I tell you that?
I don't think so.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because of the weather. I love the warm weather. So I almost moved there. And then I didn't. I took a job, and that job kept me in the Midwest, and then ran into the ex. So it's like those things lined up perfectly for that to happen. And then having it end made things line up perfectly for what's happening now.
Yeah.
So I'm way off topic, but
No, that's good.
But yeah, so I feel like soulmates. I think they do exist to an extent. I think people's perception of soulmate is there's this one person that's perfect for me exactly how they are, and everything will fall into place, and then I will never have to work on myself. That's not true. So I think that doesn't exist. That perfection that people put around soulmates does not exist. But people that are meant to be in our lives, 100% yes. And when it happens, it's like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. Like my boyfriend, it's like, I wish I would have met him earlier, but then we weren't ready earlier. The timing was never right until the timing happened. It was literally like, if it would have been 2 weeks earlier, it wouldn't have been right. It was literally the perfect weekend for us to meet. Like we were both in between, like not talking to anybody. And we talked about this like the other times, like he was dating someone, I was single, da 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 da. It would have never worked out. But so I think, yes, there is some version of soulmates meeting at the right time, right moment, right scenario. You've learned the right lessons to bring to that relationship. There's things I've learned that I'm helping him with. There's things he's learned that he's helping me with. Like, yeah. So soulmates, yes, I think they do exist to an extent, but people constantly change and evolve. And I listen to Mel Robbins all the time, and she talks about this.
Really?
Yeah. So you have, and she's been married, I think like 20 years. And they constantly are changing and working on stuff together because you may feel like you're perfect together this year, but next year then something changes in your life. Your job situation changes, or you move cities, you have to make new friends, you feel lonely, then you lean on your partner, and then you lean on your partner too much, and then like things happen. But if that person is willing to stick it out with you and work on it, then yeah, they can be your soulmate.
Yeah.
That's a really hard way to answer that, but
No, that's okay. I love that.
sort of, yes, I think they do.
Yeah.
Did I like blow your mind?
No, I just love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you want me to say my? I guess I could say my belief on
Do you?
that.
Yeah. Let's see. What's your opinion on that?
I also agree with you. I think that people come into your life for certain seasons, for like certain reasons, to teach you certain lessons, and I don't think anybody that's come into your life, I don't think it's a mistake, and I don't think it should be viewed that way anyways. Even if you have some kind of hate for them, or like, I think at some point they served a purpose for you, and even past relationships, like you have to view that person as like at that time in your life, that's everything that you wanted, and so I think it's I don't see it as like regretful or anything like that. But overall, with soulmates, I agree. I don't really think that they're a thing. I don't think that there's just one destined person for you. Like, there's billions of people in this world to think that. I don't know. I don't know. It's just a little strung out for me.
Yeah.
And personally, I think that there's so many people that you could have a relationship with that you could make like really beautiful.
Yeah.
Because there's so the way I see it is like you can be compatible with so many different people that I don't think there's like one destined person for you.
And that's
what
good, because what if they die? Let's be
let's
be honest.
Yeah, so
then you can go find another one.
Yeah, but I agree with you. I do think people come into your life for certain reasons and seasons, but I don't really believe the concept of soulmates.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think God made one single person.
Yeah.
I think he's like, oh, we'll throw a few her way and see what happens.
Yeah, like
let's see if she picks this one up.
Yeah, I agree. But
yeah, that's a funny way to think about it.
Okay. What were some of your relationship lows and what did you learn? You don't have to go into too much detail if you don't want, but I guess just what's the general low that you don't have to say detail, and what did you learn from it?
Well, I've been treated terribly, so we'll go with that as the low, the worst of the worst. And I learned that I enabled it.
Ooh.
Yeah, I was a pushover.
Nice. Go deeper into
and now
that.
I'm not. I'm kind of brutal.
Yeah. Go deeper into that.
Okay. I would let things slide that I felt weird about, and I was like, well, it is what it is, because of how I was brought up and all the things, the people I was surrounded with. I saw doing similar things, so I'm like, oh, it must be normal. I just need to not be so needy and so picky, and I'm never happy. Things I've been told. So, yeah. Yeah, I guess just that.
Yeah. That right there shows that why it's so important to ask yourself, like, when you have certain beliefs, like, we all have beliefs ingrained in our brains. We all have programs, all that. It's so important to ask yourself, why do I believe this certain thing? Because guarantee most of it goes back to, like, your parents or, like, your family members or, like, things like that you learned at a young age that now is why you believe it today. It's like, that's why it's so important to become aware of yourself and just ask yourself, why do I believe this? Where did this belief come from? Is this something I actually want to believe in, or is it something that was just ingrained in me at a young age? Because, like, if you tap into that, like, at a young age, I guess, like, those kind of things could, like, have been avoided. But
oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like I said, I developed later on all this stuff. Like, I learned the hard way. But, yeah, I think... learned a lot.
I bet.
Yeah, my brain's spinning with what I want to mention and what I don't want to mention.
Yeah, that's okay.
But go on. Yeah.
Yeah. I've never been in, like, the dating world, because, again, like, because I've been with my person since high school. So, and in high school you don't really date like that. So I'm just curious.
Oh gosh.
If you have any, what's your craziest dating story?
Oh gosh.
Because I don't have any, so I love hearing other people's because it's just fun. I don't know if you have any, but
yeah, probably. Let me think. Well, I'll talk about a great first date. Not really crazy. I guess I haven't had anything like insanely weird happen. Oh, I did. Okay. Yeah, I had to think about it. I should have came prepared.
No, it's okay.
The most absurd, ridiculous date I went on, the guy asked me to pay. Okay, I'm not sexist or anything, but
Who invited on the date? Curious.
the guy.
Okay, yeah, that's no.
That was don't get on dating apps, people. Don't.
Yeah, that's why I've never been on a dating app. I don't plan to ever be on a dating app, so that's why it's like my cousin, bro. Like, she has some funny stories, so I just love
Really?
asking people that.
This would be a cool one to have people call in with.
I
In the
know, like your
future.
like your sister.
Oh
so.
my gosh, she's been on some
But,
crazy.
Dude, there's so many things you can talk about relationships. We'll definitely have more relationship episodes in the future. But
yeah, he's like, well, the way I was like, what do you mean? Like, we literally went to a place and had a pizza and some beers, and I had been on dates before that were like hundreds of dollars, like, and I'm like, you don't have $40. Are you kidding? And I think he was testing me. I mean, obviously, I ended it after that.
yeah,
No offense. I mean, it was just, you're trying to impress a woman. You're trying to, the way I believe it should be is very old school, like I mentioned. And I'm like, you want to court me. You want to impress me. You want to be the man, take charge, and like take care of the first date, for goodness sake. And yeah, like, I have no problem helping out with expenses. I used to split things 50-50. We can talk about that too with my ex-husband. And I also can provide. But the fact that the first date was not provided for me was just like a huge no. I was like, oh, this is gross.
yeah. It's a fact too that it's not like it's not like you invited him and pressed the date, which like still
No.
I still think like, you know, based off values, but like it's just crazy that he even invited you and didn't, like, that's just wild.
Yeah, well, yeah, it didn't obviously work out,
Yeah.
but yeah, I was like, no. I straight up said no, I wasn't gonna pay.
Oh my gosh.
I said I'll tip. Actually, I did tip.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure she got tipped.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
It was silly.
Yeah.
But my best date, though, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Because that was negative. Best first date was with my current boyfriend, and we met at the rooftop bar. I was actually late. Shocker. I was like, this is
The life of a real estate agent.
I was doing a showing.
And a single mom, like, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have Theo, obviously, but I was doing a showing, and it was for a coworker. She paid me to do this showing, and they were, like, measuring things. Like, they were going to buy the house, and it took 3.5 hours, and it was supposed to be 1 hour.
Whoa.
I'm not even kidding you. And I told them multiple times, I have another appointment. I have to get going. Like, you legally only get 1 hour here in the house. We have to go. And they wouldn't leave, so I had to text the agent to call them and tell them she's leaving. You have to leave. I couldn't leave them there. They were just like, oh, one more thing. Oh, one more thing. And I was like, they're so nice. I'm trying to, like, not make my coworker and friends, clients mad at me. But, oh, my gosh. So
that's crazy.
I was texting him, like, I'm so sorry. I'm going to be late. I would have had time to go home and change, but I don't. And, like, thankfully, I was dressed up for work, but I felt horrible. So I got there late, and he's just chilling at the bar waiting on me, and he's just so chill. And we ended up hanging out and talking until, like, into the night. Like, we just found a bench. It was in summertime. It was nice out, and we talked all night long and just, like, vibed. Like, it was just so fun. We were, like, running around downtown, like, going from bar to bar. Like, what's still open? Let's go there and talk, and then let's go here. It was so cute.
That's
it was
so
like
precious.
a movie, like literally like a movie.
I love that. That's precious.
Yeah. So best date ever.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
You might need to ponder on this one.
Oh, gosh.
But what? Dude, also, I'm like crashing out right now. I've had so much caffeine today. Sorry, Mom, if you're listening.
Too much caffeine.
Yeah.
This is my third coffee.
I've had a Celsius because I love Celsius. I've had half a cup of coffee and this. So I'm crashing out right now. But that's okay.
It's pretty chill.
Okay, so buckle up. What is something that you used to believe was true, like about relationships, like in the past that you now like don't believe is true, if that makes sense?
Mm-hmm. Probably, I used to believe like the soulmate thing. Like everyone's made this way and that's how they are and that's what they are. Like I didn't know about self-development and all this and growth and all like how it actually happens. So I used to believe like you are okay, so you marry someone or you commit to someone and that's who they are then. I didn't really realize they can change and do a 180 on you in a year. I didn't realize it could be for the better or the worst. Um, I mean, I guess I should have known that because I had friends in high school. I dated a guy in college and he changed but I was like, "Oh, we just meshed so well and it just felt so perfect that it would stay perfect." So, I thought that things aligned and would stay that way without any work, honestly. And it takes a lot of work to keep things together, but as long as you're both willing to do it and you want to do it for the right reasons and you want to stay together for the right reasons, you still love that person, you still choose to love that person every day.
Mm.
We can talk about that later.
Yeah, love is a choice.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
seriously. So yeah, I think I believed everything would be perfect and just like stay the same, fairy tale, blah blah blah. And then yeah, it does not.
Yeah, that's
Not
so
at all.
true. And what do you personally believe makes a relationship successful?
Mm, what makes it success? Oh, being friends.
Yeah.
Just having a damn good time together.
Yeah.
Like that first date, I was like, this is the most fun I've had with a human probably
Aw.
ever. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's like I felt like I was out with one of my best friends and we were catching up. We haven't seen each other in forever. And we're just, tell me more, tell me this, tell me that. Like, oh my gosh, you're so cute when you laugh, you know? Like,
Yeah.
just having fun and trying new things. Like, we try to do different stuff or like go to shows. I went to a musical to support his friend that was one of the leads in the play or the musical. And I have no idea. I have no idea about anything musical related. I was never into it. Younger age, like I didn't know what to expect. So we went to that, and that was new for me, and it was different. It was cool. It was super neat to see people I knew too on stage. So trying new stuff. He drugged me to that, you know.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So trying new stuff and having fun and just being best friends and working on that and keeping that going is super vital.
Yeah. My relationship, dude, that is my best friend.
Yeah.
Literally. And I've never had that in the past. And so, based off results, I feel like that definitely is something that makes relationships really successful.
Yeah.
Just being with your best friend.
Right. And you're going to need that person through so many hard times if you stay together in the long run. Like, you're going to need a best friend to support you and be there to comfort you through death and just loss and new jobs and new businesses and like all that. It's going to be like your main support best friend. Like, you have to have that. So I think working on that first too is important. A lot of people rush to we could say like they rush into the physical side of stuff too, and they don't even think about all the other things that lead up to that. So that also doesn't help if you're trying to find someone to stay with you long term, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, that too is literally the highest form of communication. So it's like when you're jumping right to that, you think, and it's like it is your guys' souls attaching. So like in a way, like it really is.
Yeah.
So then if you do that right off the bat and don't even go into like the actual person, what they value, their personality, how like in the future, how's that going to play into the life you want? Like if you don't go into any of that and just jump straight to that, which a lot of people do in today's generation,
my gosh, it's bad.
it can mess a lot of things up because you're just blinded by
False connection.
and it's not real.
Yeah, I mean it is a real connection, but your brain thinks they're
brain's addicted to that part.
Yeah. I listened to a podcast about that once too. I don't remember who it was, but it was like you're connecting dots that aren't there yet, and your brain's like, oh, this person is so amazing because of that physical act, and it's like Actually, when it boils down to it, if you step back and look, it's like, nah, maybe they're not. So finding out first if you're actually compatible and how you mesh together before that helps, I think. But
Absolutely. I would agree.
yeah, makes sense.
Do we want to go into compatibility then?
Do you want me to question you next?
Yeah, if you want, go for it.
Yeah, I have a couple questions for you. Okay, so being younger and dating, what is something that you looked for, I guess, when you first met your current partner? What is something that you were like seeking out specifically, like a trait, quality? Is there something that you knew to look for since you're so young? No offense.
No, yeah.
And you heard like, oh, that's what I want.
Yeah. Oh, man. Honestly, that the current relationship I'm in is the only relationship I've been in while like doing personal growth and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the person I was with for a month before that was when I was kind of still like, dabbling into it. But like, I mean, it's like you're a rookie. Like, it's like you think you know these things, but it's hard to apply them. I don't know. But with my current partner, I definitely was looking for somebody that was growth minded, but and like had a relationship with themselves. But at the same time, I'm not gonna lie, she likes me first, and that's a funny story. I kind of want to say that. Can I tell our story because it's freaking hilarious?
Oh my gosh, yeah, go for it.
Okay, so in October of going back to the freaking last episode of like the junior year and stuff, was when I started to find myself, all that stuff, and then November I freaking got into a long distance relationship, which we don't want to talk about.
Oh my.
It is so, yeah, it was crazy. I mean, it was a good lesson, but yeah, don't recommend that at all.
It's never good.
Anyway, so that happened, and we had a mutual friend, and it's so funny, when I was in my partying phase, all that stuff, she also had a party phase. We actually were at so many parties at the same time, and like we had a mutual friend, and the whole reason I was at those parties was because of that specific friend group that she was friends with, which means she was there with them.
Yeah.
Yet somehow we never met. And I didn't even know who she was. It was crazy. And goes back to the thing, like, invisible string. I don't know what it is, like, but, like, kind of like how you said, like, even if it was 2 weeks before, like, it wouldn't have been the right time.
It wouldn't have been right.
It was crazy, like, because I obviously knew everybody else in that friend group. I don't even remember seeing her. I don't even remember, like, knowing her name. Like, I didn't know who she was. Like, I really didn't. And it's crazy. Like, how does that happen? I don't know. Because we literally, like, and we'll look back at our, like, Snapchat memories. We were literally at the same parties. Like, it's crazy.
Wow.
So, I don't know how we never met. But it was funny. So I was in a relationship. I just got in a relationship, and I only ever heard bad things about her. Like, because, and I mean, this is her personal story, but she obviously didn't know herself, didn't have a relationship, so, like, and she kind of didn't have the best childhood. So it was like, I never really, she acted out in that way, I guess I would say. So, like, I never heard the best things about her from what I did hear about her. And it's funny, like, our mutual friend was like, yeah, like, one of my friends, like, really likes you. And I was like, oh, is it, like, this Sophie Schwartz girl? And I was like, because she literally was, like, commenting on my TikToks and stuff. And I had no idea who it was. I was like, who is this? But I guess it was. And she's like, yeah, dude, like, she really likes you. I'm like, I'm sorry. I feel so bad saying this now, but she knows this, so it's not like anything. But I was like, I'm sorry, I would never do that. Yeah. But what's crazy, and that's why I think it's so important to not just, like, base your, like, opinions off of what, like, one person has said. Because, like, and it wasn't even what people said. Nobody was, like, talking bad about it. It was my perception of, like, when she would call, like, these friends when I was hanging out with them. And, like, it was the way I perceived it. It was nobody was, like, talking bad about it or anything. It was literally the way I perceived it. But, like, you don't ever want to judge people based off, like, that. I don't know. I guess, like, you could kind of say, like, is first impressions important? Like, but it wasn't even in person. That's what's the thing. But, and I was, like, very egotistical, too. I mean, I'll like, admit it. Like, getting into personal growth at such a young age, like, you're like, oh, I'm the shit. Like, and you're egotistical. So I think just with that filter in mind, it definitely, like, didn't help. But then going forward, I got out of that one relationship. It was only a month. It was not good at all. And then the next couple months, I made sure that I wasn't talking to anybody, and I was just really focused on myself. And that's when I really got into like deep into personal growth. And yeah, so I'd say honestly, at the time, I did want somebody that understood my journey. But I kind of knew that nobody was on the same wavelength as me, so I knew I wasn't gonna find somebody that was like absolutely perfect, like right, you know what I'm saying, like
in your age range.
yeah, in my age range. And so I wasn't banking on that, but I knew she liked me, and I was just honestly just like, let's just hang out. So I texted a mutual friend. I was like, can you just like have us both over and like some couple other like of our friends, and like so we can meet. And like I really didn't have any expectations, and just kind of went with it. It's funny, we're both super shy, so like we didn't even say like a word to each other like the whole night. We still like, I don't know how to explain it. We both unconsciously vibed together, if that makes sense. Like we felt comfortable around each other, but like we were both so shy. We are like, oh, I don't know. But
really?
Then I'll just keep going into our story a little bit, I guess. Then so we met, like when we first met in person, it was 2 days before Valentine's Day, and like because we didn't talk, I was like getting in my head, I was like, does she even actually like me, like all this stuff. And I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna risk it. And I sent her flowers to school, like
what,
for Valentine's Day, and she didn't even believe it was like me. She thought like our friends were like pranking her or something. I was like, bro, what? And so that's kind of how it started. But overall, to that question, no, I guess I wasn't, because again, just at such a young age, it's hard to think about that. But because of that, that did cause a lot of like bumps in our relationship. But I'd say now we're at a really good point. I think she's grown a lot. I obviously think I've grown a lot, but yeah, because I wasn't looking for that, it definitely caused some things in our relationship. But
wow, you made the first bold move. That's awesome.
yeah, I gotta give it to her though. Like she's the one that was trying to text me all this stuff.
Yeah, she initiated it.
I ghosted her for a while.
It's okay, she wasn't ready.
Yeah, but it all worked out the way it was supposed to.
That's so cute.
Yeah. Okay, so since I just went on a whole tangent talking about my relationship story, what's you and Ryan's relationship story? Like, how'd you guys meet?
Yeah, so our mutual friend Cam, hi Cam, he introduced us. So I sold him a house, and throughout the process, I got to know this friend. And he was a friend of a friend originally, and we became friends through the process. And he's super cool. And I was like, how did you and Maggie meet? Like, you guys are so cute together. And he told me their story, and I was like, man, like, maybe I should be set up with someone. Well, they weren't set up, but they met organically and out in the world. And I was like, yeah, I'm done with these apps. Like, I'm never, ever doing this again. It's just so much work, and, like, you have to, like, respond to these messages. Think of, like, just constantly getting instant messages, and you have to say the same things over and over again. Like, where are you from? What do you do?
Gosh,
oh my gosh. It's like a million first dates over and over again, just chatting with people. And I don't even like Snapchat. Like, it's so annoying. So anyhow, I told him I'm done with that. I know what I want. Do you have any friends for me? And he's like, I don't know. You should come out Friday night. We're going to Penny Drip. We're going to go see, they have this like night thing they do once a month, yada, yada. I was like, oh, I don't think I can. I have, this, that, and the other thing to get done. And he's like, well, okay. And then he texted me while he was out there. He's like, you should come out. There's a lot of my boys out here. They're single. And I was like, oh, man, I should have went. But I didn't. I'm glad I didn't, because we talked about this. He was there. And he's like, I would have been too scared to come up to you and, like, say anything.
Yep.
I'm like, I honestly usually I'm very confident and very bold. And with him, I probably would have been too shy too. Mm-hmm. Because if I really like someone or really think they're attractive, I'm like, oh. Not that I don't think I could, like, impress them or, like, be a good match for them. It's, like, it's just intimidating. It's scary.
Yeah.
It's so scary to approach someone in public that you're really into. And I definitely would have been all about him. So, anyhow, I was texting with Cam, and I was like, yeah, I'm not going to make it out, blah, blah, blah. I said, do you have anyone that is like really into music and like has a good relationship with God? And like I was listing off all these things that I wanted, And then I went so far as to send him my list and my notes and my phone. He's like, so like you have literally requirements? I'm like, oh yeah, like let me send you my list. And I made that list through the dating process when I would realize, oh no, I actually want this, I want that, I want this. So each person that would not like fit with me, and I was like, oh, I wish they would this, I would put it on the list. And so I built this list up over the last couple of years, and I knew exactly what I wanted. And he's like, no way, my friend Ryan is exactly what you described. And I was like, well, let's do it. And he sent me his Facebook profile. I was like, yeah, let's hook this up, please. What's his number? And he's like, hold on, I'll give him your number. And I was like, oh gosh, now I gotta wait for him to.
Yeah.
But he texted me right away, and
Nice.
we met the next night. We had a date,
That's amazing.
and I was late. I think I told you that.
Yeah.
yeah, I already mentioned that.
Oh,
But
man.
it worked out great.
That's awesome.
That's our story.
I
Enough
love
about
it.
that.
I love it.
Okay, so I wanted to ask you, as far as dating in your age range, when is it appropriate, or when did you find it appropriate when you can start talking about future planning? Because I know I do right away because I'm in my 30s, and it's like, okay, I'm not going to waste time going out with someone who's not ready to settle down, whatever, because that's the phase I'm in. But like being younger and knowing that's something you want in the future, when does it feel appropriate and when is it okay? And have you had any instances where anyone's freaked out on you, like bringing that up so young?
So context, when we started dating, I was 16 and she was 15.
Oh, wow.
Very young. And so I'm going to be honest, maybe we did, I don't remember, but I really don't think we talked about future plans, honestly. It kind of was just like, I think more when you're at that age, it's more just about like you're still in the age where you're figuring yourself out. So it's more of a learning thing. And again, like I said, like because of that, have had bumps in the road. Like now we talk about that stuff. And that's why you see a lot of high school relationships not working out, is because they realize, okay, we don't have the same vision. Now we got to separate.
Yeah.
And so, thankfully, ours aligned pretty well. Yeah, oh my gosh. I just thought of something I could have talked about, but we can maybe save that for another episode.
Okay.
But, yeah, it's not something I think we talked about. I think obviously I'm a very date to marry person, so I think we both had that mindset, but I don't think we went into details of like, okay, like, do you want kids? Like, do you want to, like live somewhere else? Like, we didn't go that deep, I guess. But we did talk about like our dream life and what we wanted, which is funny. When we first started dating, I think both of our dream lives are very different than what we wanted back then.
Yeah.
Like I still thought at the time when I was dating her that I was going to go to college and play softball. And she was pretty clear with me right away, because the school I got recruited by was in Illinois, and it was like pretty far, 6 hours, I think. And she was like, I won't be able to do that. And she was pretty clear. And I was like, what do you mean you can't do that? Like,
oh, wow.
But, it is crazy though. My vision changed, and obviously that's not the route I went at all. But, and she thought she was going to play softball in college at the time, and she didn't pursue that route. And I think now we're finally both, obviously I'm pursuing what I want, and I think she's in cosmetology school right now, and she's always wanted to do that. And so
Awesome.
I think it's cool that we're both like in alignment with ourselves and what we really want. So yeah, the last 2 years, like we've definitely talked about it, but no, I don't think it was something we talked about right away.
That would make sense in your age group. I mean, it's pretty early to know what you want, so let alone to bring it up in a relationship.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay, and then I wanted to ask you, what lessons have you learned in the past about relationships?
Past relationships, or what I've learned from this relationship?
Well, okay, yeah, considering this is like your longest.
Yeah.
What's a good lesson that you've learned being with someone long term and being committed to someone?
Yeah, there's a lot I've learned. I'd say one thing is that you need to love the person in their love languages, because obviously naturally we're just going to love the person easily and what our love languages are. So like my top two are physical touch and words of affirmation. So I'm constantly giving her compliments. I'm constantly wanting to like cuddle with her, all this stuff. But those are on the bottom for her. So she like, so then like it's easy for me to do that for her. And then hers are like acts of service. I don't really, if you do acts of service for me, I appreciate it, but it's not like, I don't know, it's not something I absolutely love. Like, I want the compliments, I want the physical touch, like,
Yeah.
so, yeah, like, so acts of service. So, like, when she would ask me to do stuff, it's like, since I don't really care about it, it's just like, oh, like, I don't really care. Or I'm not, like, going out of my way to go do things, like, cook for her, or like things like that. So it's like, that's something I've learned, is you need to love the other person in their love language. And same thing for her, like, that's been a learning curve, I think, for both of us, is just like to and it kind of goes back to last episode, like, we're just going to do what's our highest values. So that's why it's hard, but you got to consciously think about it until it becomes a habit. So that's something that I've learned. And something else I've learned that I've really been learning lately is, you don't, like, what you desire in a relationship, what you want in a partner, does not need to be what everybody on social media is telling you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't compare.
I kind of got stuck in the mindset of, oh, I need to have a partner that is like into the same exact things that I'm into, and that is like as driven as me and all this stuff. And it's like, okay, if that's what you want, that's fine. But I realized I only said I wanted that because I felt like I had to have that because of like the group I'm in, and like people, like pressure, and the social media content I watch. And I was like, why is this not working out? Like, why? I don't know. Like, it just didn't, I don't know. So it was felt very forced, and I got into just a mindset, and I figured out, like, last year I was very checked out of our relationship. And I got into that space of like, oh, I have a relationship with myself. Like, I'm, like, I kind of got in that egotistical in a way. Like, I have a relationship with self. I do like all these things, and I already have it. But it's like it's constant, everyday thing. Like, you're either growing or you're dying. And I think for a second, I thought I was growing, but I think it was actually me that was dying. And then I looked back, and it was like, I was so nitpicky and I was so checked out that I was trying to only see the bad, so that it would like justify, like, oh, I want these things. And I realized, like, she actually grew more than I did last year. And so that's why this year is like my words alignment. It was like, that was a big thing, is like, yeah, I just got stuck in the mindset of like, oh, I need to have this person. But it's like, no, get in touch with like what you want. And I figured out, no, I want her. I love like who she is, and that's exactly what I want. I want somebody who compliments me, not is the same exact person as me.
I was going to say that there is no one exactly like you.
Yeah.
Any of you. I mean,
yeah. So
I thought that too.
That was like the biggest thing I've learned. And yeah.
I through my dating journey of a bunch of first dates that did not end well or go anywhere, I also thought that. I was like, maybe I need someone who's more energetic and outgoing and wants to do amazing things, and a dreamer, and just always excited about life, and looks on the positive side like me.
Yeah.
Super optimistic all the time. I mean, not 100% of the time, but almost all the time. And I was like, yeah. And I went out with a guy like that. I was like, wow, he's annoying.
Yeah.
It's like, this is how I am? No. But I mean, for real, I learned that I could not be with someone just like me, because I would drive me crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I am a lot, and I need someone who is chill and can just take me in doses and be like, okay, you need to come back down to earth for a moment, and like, we need to talk practically about your idea for this business that you just randomly came up with yesterday, and and like actually take things and put them into real perspectives, because I do get very dreamery and just like into like constantly coming up with ideas for new things, and it's a good thing, but it can be annoying.
Another thing I learned too, I still think it's important to have somebody that, one, is growth minded, because if you don't have somebody that's wants to grow with you, because there's arguments, things like that are inevitable. It's gonna happen. So you want somebody that's able to grow and be able to accept responsibility. I think that overall everybody needs to have that. That's one thing I'll leave with you. But I also learned recently that, like, we all have a unique set of values. Nobody has the same exact values as you. And you hear all the time, like, oh, like, they have to have the same values. I think there's like, okay, like religion, stuff like that, that's pretty much the same value, but
It's core.
your unique set of values is wildly different. Like nobody has the same. And so I got stuck in the mindset of like, yeah, she doesn't have the same values as me, and it's like, oh, she doesn't want to go to this seminar with me or whatever. Like, and I just got so like focused on that. And it was like, what I've learned recently is like, just because like, so one of my values is growth. Just because she doesn't want to do that one thing that is growth doesn't mean that she's not growth minded. Doesn't mean that she doesn't value growth.
Yeah.
And so that's something that I've learned, that I'm like, oh man, she was growing that whole time. Like, and it was just in different ways. And so that's something that I think could help a lot of people, because I just really did get stuck in that social media, like, oh, you need to have a grind, or you need to like be with somebody that's gonna, like, all that stuff. Like, I just got stuck in that. And again, if that's what you want, if that's what you truly want, that's perfect. But I realized that I just felt that way because that was what other people wanted. It's not what I wanted.
Yeah, and sometimes you need someone to kind of calm you down and bring you back to earth and help you relax and enjoy the little moments. So going 110% all the time isn't always a good thing.
Yeah. And some people want that, like, relationship. They want a business partner relationship. And again, if that's what you want, that's awesome. And I thought that's what I wanted, but I actually do like that person that I can just, like, at the end of the day relax with, and not have to, it doesn't have to be transactional, or it's constantly talking about business or how we can, like, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't want a transactional relationship. I wanted somewhere, because I realized I was with somebody that I could be my absolute self with. Like, nobody has seen me the way that she's seen me. And I can just be my absolute most authentic self. That is so rare to find in somebody. Why would I ever want something different than that?
Right. If you feel so at ease that you can just let go and take off the business face and take the blazer off when you get home and just relax. It's so great.
And not be judged for it at all. And they can do the same. Just be their absolute selves. Like, yeah, it's just amazing. And so that's what I really realized.
That's awesome. That's a great lesson, especially at your age.
Yeah, man.
So good. That was a lot. So I think the main summary here is finding someone that you can grow with is key to finding someone that's worth being with. I mean, it's going to make your life so much easier if you have these conversations up front too.
Yeah.
I started to have them earlier and earlier, and it's just like rip that Band-Aid off and ask these questions, get it over with, because some people avoid it and they're just scared to ask because they're scared of the answers. And I mean, if you're scared of the answers, then why are you with that person?
Yeah, exactly.
If you know it's not going to be what you want. So
yeah. And I think having a relationship with yourself is key, because, I mean, you can only give so much love. Like, when you don't have love for yourself, there's only so much love you can give, and it's not the best love you can give. So fill your own cup first, and I promise you, just naturally, that'll make you more vibrant, more loving, and you'll be able to give so much more love to your partner.
And you'll attract something better for yourself.
Absolutely. So that was a great episode, guys. We ran into a lot of technical difficulties right there, so we're just going to cut this episode off right here. But there's so much more that we want to talk about with relationships. And most of all, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you guys have any questions about relationships or really any episode ideas, please comment them down below. That helps us so much. Please subscribe to our YouTube. Follow us on Spotify if you're listening to us there. Follow us on Instagram. We have a new Instagram account too.
Yes.
That'll be in the description. Anything we talked about in this episode that I don't think we did, but usually there'll be episode resources.
We did a little bit of a podcast drop. I'll put it in there.
Yes. So that'll all be in the description, guys. And as always, stay grounded.
Keep growing.